Hello, my friends. You know, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It goes a long way. I'm Tom, your friend and host with Weapons Education. As always, please subscribe, tell a friend. But listen, this question is going to be a firestorm of a question. 1911, 110-year-old design, the iconic 1911, a part of American history. I think of a product that goes back 110 years. Is there anything that was designed 110 years ago as mechanical as a 1911 with 60-some parts in it, 64 parts approximately, that is identical today 110 years later? The 1911, American icon, in your hand. So, let me say 1911 versus modern day gun. I have to phrase that in two questions. Question one. For a new gun owner, 1911 versus modern day gun. We're going to discuss that. For an experienced gun owner who's a real enthusiast, 1911 versus modern day gun. And then I'm going to also talk about not just for target shooting and practicing, but about just everyday carry to save your life, but basically for everybody, okay? Let's get into it right now and look at the pistols I grabbed out of the collection. Let's start with this one here. My buddy Josh is here. Thank you for coming out here. It's very early in the morning. Please zoom in right here, Josh. This iconic 1911 Colt Delta Elite, my very first gun, the love of my collection possibly, maybe my favorite. It's hard to say. And well, zoom in on it. It's gorgeous. But the 1911, as we look at this, you have American freedom in your hand. You have world wars that were won with this pistol. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people have been saved in both warfare and self-defense with the 1911. Everything on this table, even the modern day guns, is based off the 1911. 110-year-old design. Now, let's talk about the 1911. Let's take a look at this one here. This is a more of a modern day 1911. A PC 1911 from Smith & Wesson, and the point I'm making here is how they've modified the 1911 with new frames. This is a scandium frame, very lightweight. You can do a lot of different things with 1911s. Are they more complicated than a modern day gun? Well, yes, I think everyone can agree on that. I don't want to get into a little hissy thing going on here, but we can all agree a 1911 is more complicated. But you can get modern day, lighter weight. This one here, as far as reliability for 1911s, this 1911, and take a look at this one. And the reason why I'm showing you this Ed Brown, which everyone knows I'm not I'm not too fond of the man Ed Brown, who's long retired, and I'm not fond of the company, but that's either here or near there. Forget that. But the gun, the point is, yes, I would carry this gun because I maintenance it so well, but it's a $4,000 gun. Do modern day, the Glocks cost that? No. Smith & Wessons? No. The Walters? No. They're $700,000-$800,000 guns. We're talking sky's the limit on these 1911s. So you got price point to consider with a 1911. As we're talking about 1911s, the benefits you get, one of them is let's zoom in on this one here, Josh. This one here. This trigger here. These are all safety check guns. Let's do it like this, okay? The trigger on a 1911, zoom in right here, is second to none Well, possibly. I always said the 1911 trigger, because you got a single action hammer there, is the best trigger there is, because this is straight pullback, bang. And then it's just like rapid fire, fully automatic. That's the 1911's got an excellent trigger. Hard to beat. But when I talk about the Walther trigger and the Sig P226 trigger and other triggers of modern day guns, there's a lot of give and take, and there's a lot of benefits of the modern day gun triggers. But the 1911 does have a trigger that is absolutely the lightest, pow, and then it's like full auto. Now, what's the negative of the 1911? Let me put this one back, and just look at me, please. The negative is, well, you want to keep your 1911 clean. So if you're a new gun owner, is the 1911 the best gun for you? I think we can all agree no. Because in the last decade, I've had this channel 11 years now, and over the last 11 years, I don't know the exact stats, but it's pretty close that we've had more new gun owners than the previous 30 years combined. So there's a lot of new gun owners. Are they like all of us on this channel who will go to the range, shoot a 1911, take it home, disassemble it? By the way, disassembly on a 1911, they do differ a little bit. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this 10 millimeter is, this 10 millimeter has got one tight spring, and it's got like the 5th spring I put into it. You need to know guns a little bit to have a 1911. You need to know the 64 or so moving parts in a 1911. You need to know the disassembly of all the different ways of the 1911. This 1911, this one from Smith & Wesson, this Performance Center, is one of the tightest tolerances guns I've ever owned. Tighter tolerances means it's a little bit harder to disassemble and put back together. That's okay. So if you're really into it and you're going to clean it after each use, 1911s like to run clean. The 1911's, of course, an excellent choice. But when we start talking about modern day guns, you might say, well, maybe a modern day gun is for me because we have higher capacity mags, and we've got, yes, you do have more reliability with a modern day gun. We can all agree on that. The tolerances are so tight on a 1911, they all tell you to shoot 150 rounds through it, which is pricey these days. So this is for the 1911, here 110 years later, is certainly not fading away, and it'll be here in another 100 years, I predict, easily. So disassembly is a little bit more difficult. Cleaning is a necessity because they like to run clean. Having a lot of quality mags. What's the #1 reason why 1911s fail, have malfunctions, is either the magazine or the ammunition. Talking about ammunition, you want to run quality ammunition through a 1911, such as double tap, maybe Underwood, maybe Buffalo Bore, and well, while I'm talking about ammunition, zoom in on that. This is the best 45 ammunition made, bar none, if you can find it. Zoom way in close on that, and it says the 450. I did a video on this. SMC, short Magnum cartridge. This is the best 45 ACP ammo made, bar none, period, if you can find it. I'm lucky I'm loaded up on it, but we're looking at pushing, the reason why I'm saying this is a 45. The 1911 was designed by a 45, and the reason why I'm talking about speeds is a lot of people are buying 9 millimeters in 1911s. I know from my shoulder holster company, Weapons Education Holsters, that I'm getting a lot of orders for 1911s and 9 millimeter. Fine, you like that, good. It's designed for a 45. I'd get the 45, especially when you can push a 45 at 160 grains at 1,375 feet per second. Okay, you get the 45 if you're getting a 1911, but all the power to you choose a 9 and some of the other options that 1911s are made from. So we got the question, 1911 versus modern day gun. Okay, for new gun owners, we know the 1911 has to stay clean. We know it's a little bit more difficult to disassemble, a little bit more. And we also know that it's finicky with mags. You need high quality mags, Wilson Combat mags. We know it's got a small capacity. To me, because I'm in Florida, okay, we're going to talk about this in a minute. Legal, okay, cool. Glock. So, 8 rounds, yeah, that was good in the day. Modern day, we can do a lot more. We're going to get to that. We know we can put 10-round mags into any 1911 with aftermarket companies that make quality 10-round. Chip McCormick is one of them that comes to mind. 10-round 1911 mags, and you're going to need a lot of them because once the mags go bad, the springs go bad, your gun's going to malfunction on a 1911. Whereas a modern day gun, they're going to go a lot longer, those mags. They're going to just keep shooting forever, like a Glock will just, like an AK, will just keep shooting forever. So, you're looking at that pistol there, just keep trying to think of it. What kind of pistol is that? That's a cool modern day pistol. Now, let's look at this one here. 1911s I'm still talking about. Zoom in here, Josh. There's Ed Brown, I spoke about, it's an expensive gun. The point is you can spend a lot of money on a 1911. And yes, I would carry this gun. I would carry the Smith & Wesson. But you got to pay big bucks. I don't even remember what this cost. And I've got a bunch of Ed Browns. I don't like the company. I don't like the guy. But I can't say anything bad about the guns. That would be hideous. They're good guns. But it's expensive. You don't have to spend that kind of money. So with 1911s, the point is, you can really, it's like watches. You can go from a $1,000 watch to a $75,000 watch, you know, and they're all going to tell time. So now let's talk about modern day guns, and then we're going to come up and at the end of the video and sum it up on which is best for, well, we already said new gun owners, you're going to want a modern day gun because you're not going to want to disassemble it, clean it, etc. nonstop, going through mags like crazy, making sure you got the right ammo and having all the math down pat. Now, here's some of my favorite modern day guns, just a couple of them. Okay, the Walther. I picked this particularly to show you there is a modern day gun, this one, zoom in here on the trigger, that has a comparable trigger to a 1911, pretty much almost. Some people complain that the Walther PPQ, I like the 45s, is almost too light because it's like once you shoot one round, striker fired, modern day guns you need to learn come in either striker fired, and I'll show you the HK, which you can get hammer fired. So you have all these other options we need to get into at modern day guns. I'm trying to move quick here. And the trigger, to me, of all the modern day guns, the best trigger goes to either the Walther PPQ, and I've shot them all. And it's up to your personal preference. Maybe you like the M&P better. I just don't. Maybe you like the XDM better. I just think the Walther and the Sig Sauer 320 are better triggers. Different triggers, but better. I think these are the best two triggers in modern day guns. And I own them all, and I've shot them all. And this is the lightest trigger. And the Sig 320, got the best reset. So once you see that, you just, it's nothing. And when you keep practicing with a 320, you get that reset down. It's just full auto, and your sights stay in the same place. So two of the best modern day guns, I think, are the Walther PPQ. Some of them. In my collection anyway. The Sig 320, which is the reason why I won all these military contracts. You can change out calibers on this within 90 seconds. How about, let's talk about a Glock. Can you do this with a 1911? No. And do we need a lot of rounds? Let's talk about round capacity a little bit more. This is an actual, let's safety check gun. This is an actual Glock mag, okay? And it's, 30 rounds. Is 30 rounds too much? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Because when I went with Josh, you want to talk a little bit? Let's talk about when we were shooting the 320. I want your story. What did you do? You had a 17 round 9mm 320, right? And we shot for 2 days.
For a few days, yeah.
And then we were going through so many rounds so fast. What did you feel like the 17 round mag was?
Well, I had 3 mags total, 2 in mag pouches, 1 in the gun. But after having to reload often because of about 2.5 days of training with just that gun, after day 1, I decided to upgrade to 21 round mags.
There you go.
You don't realize how quick you go through it. Even in a slow-paced drill, you'll still go through 17 rounds very quick.
17 rounds you go through 17 rounds as if you got 8 bad guys coming at you in 6 seconds.
Yep.
Right? We learned that. We would test it. Shoot a whole 17 rounds and hit your target in the least amount of pack time seconds. Beep. Beep. Who can do it the quickest and hit at you? 17 rounds sounds like a lot, but it's not. So, now of course we can reload in a split second. Now we come back to, I'm just thinking and then just having fun talking about, now we come back to a 1911, okay, and now we got an 8 round mag, which is going to go quick. Done. That's it. That's how quick you go through 8 rounds. And of course you can reload it. How many reloads do you want to do when Armageddon hits, and you'd rather have less reloads? And which gun is going to malfunction out of 1,000 rounds more? I don't care if it's a $4,000 gun, 1911, or if it's a $4,000 1911 versus a Sig 320 out of 1,000 rounds. Will an Ed Brown 1911 fail once? Probably. Most likely because I said the mags, the ammo, or the user, I didn't mention this, not having the right grip. 50-50, good grip. Some people just shoot, if they're righty, they only grip it with one hand. And they have a hand on there with the left hand, but they're not pushing in enough. And they're limp wristing it, and then you're going to get another way to fail on a 1911. So, and when you're under stress, you're not going to have limp wristing as many issues with a modern day gun. They just keep shooting. I had 0 failures from the 320 out of multiple trips, Josh, right? How many, did you ever have a failure? What did we shoot? 2,000 rounds a week?
A few thousand.
Yeah. Times weeks on ends there, right? Never a failure with the 320. Never. Now, what happened when we went to the 1911 class, and I'm not knocking 1911s, but we were in the desert, the SAM was blowing, right? Remember that in Denver?
Yes.
I'm going way back now, about 8 years. Remember that? Now, how many times did our 1911s fail? And there were Nighthawks. They were good guns we were using.
I had a Nighthawk too, yep.
And it was failing about what?
Few failure to feed, stovepipes stuck in the slide on the top.
Sand.
Yeah.
Remember the windy days? Remember that? Sand was an issue.
Yes.
We had to clean them like
Plowing
crazy with the
around.
1911s, remember?
Yep.
You never know what conditions you're going to be in.
320 probably would have
Never
done better.
No. There was one guy in the class, in the 1911 class, his name's Kirk, he had a Glock 19. He laughed at everyone. He goes, I had no failures the whole week. And I'm looking at everyone here online, and you know, and they were newbies, most of them, so they didn't know how to tap, rack, clear a gun, and reload and all that. So the 1911 is for more of an advanced shooter who's going to clean the gun, keep it sterile. But with the modern day guns, gosh, with the Glocks, and you can do this kind of stuff to it. And the HKs, when you look at HK's website, the amount of variance is phenomenal, and so you need to know they have striker fires. It's a VP9, and don't get so stuck on the 9. The 9's a great round, but don't forget about the 40 caliber either. Don't forget about the 40. That's one of my next videos, and obviously the 45. So you got all the different variants that HK offers, and talking about variants, this is, gosh, this gun is so beautiful. Take a zoom in on that. This Sig P226 Elite. Look at these grips. I've got an extended mag in here. I forget how many it holds, about 13 or so. A lot of rounds. This is in 357 Sig. This gun never failed me. None of my modern guns failed me. None of them. 1911 sometimes, because I really take good care of them, and I put new springs in them, and I use good mags, and I use good ammo. But for a new gun owner, are you going to do that? Maybe you'll really get into it. For a new gun owner, I'd say a modern day gun. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? The iconic American gun in your hand, the Colt 1911, which will be here forever, which has an excellent trigger, which has very tight tolerances, that needs to be kept pretty well cleaned up, and you need to be on top of it. You need to know how to disassemble it perfectly and clean it and keep the parts up to date. Now, what is this behind me? Is this the best modern day pistol that's not available no more? This is a 5.56. I love this Sig Sauer, and to me these are the Rolexes of rifles these days. The new Sig Sauer line, and they're just going off the wall with quality. If you zoom in on that where it says pistol right there, it's too far. Right, it says pistol use only. No, none of this ombre stuff. You can't. This was called a SWAT at the time. This is now it's heavy. Of course, I got a 60 round 5.56. This is a real pistol. Modern day 5.56. This is America, baby. And this is what we deserve. So, you decide, 1911, you gotta have one in you. If you're a collector and you don't have a 1911, well then you're not a collector. That's a really cool pistol, huh? It's really heavy. But I can do it because I'm a strong guy, but I don't know, if someone a little bit small. I think I should put a 100 round mag in that. Those Sig makes them. Glocks, you can do whatever you want. They'll never fail. HKs, modern day, awesome quality. Then you got the iconic 1911s, but you got to spend a fortune, keep them clean. But you got to have a 1911 in your collection. But if it's just one gun that you can choose, new gun owner, get a modern day, get a 320, get a Glock, get a Walther, get a M&P, whatever you like. Any of those modern day guns will work for you. All right, so there you go. Please thumb up the video. Please tell someone else to watch it, forward it. And my name is Tom, your friend, and let me see, how should I finish this? I have to say, let's stay on the right side of America. Get that? Check it out. Bye-bye.